He looked like he'd been there all season. Did not look like he'd just come back from a long-term injury.
But it did look like they cared against Liverpool. It really did look like they actually really, really wanted to win that game. I mean, it's a pity it's come too little too late.
That is telling us Reece is fit enough to start the FA Cup. I think that's, go on, get yourself 20 minutes under your belt. I thought Reece looked very comfortable.
You're looking at a Bournemouth, a Brighton and a Brentford going to be playing Champions League next season. We're not. That is nothing short of disgraceful.
So the 2 Champions League games, I'm trying to leave it there, right? 2 finals.
That was the last time we beat City. Can we do it in another final? Hopefully. Hello and welcome to Inside Chelsea, the show for Chelsea fans by Chelsea fans. This show is sponsored by BetMGM. Download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org. I'm Olivia Buzaglo and I'm joined by former Chelsea defender Jason Cundy and Chelsea fan and broadcaster Matisse. And guys, we're sat here and we haven't lost. This is exciting, isn't it?
Unusual feeling, isn't it?
Different.
I mean, I haven't been on this show for a while, which I'm very happy about. So coming back to a point away at Anfield, and which actually, Jace, probably, given the context of the game, could have, maybe should have been more.
Yes, it's never a bad point at Anfield, even though they're not particularly great themselves.
Yeah.
We had to stop the rot, Liv. We could not have 7 games on the spin getting beat. So we have stopped the rot. On another day, we get a penalty and we come back to London with 3 points. I thought overall 90 minutes, I think it was probably a fair result. Liverpool didn't really do a huge amount either. Yeah. They're in a bit of a flux situation themselves. And had we not gone through that terrible run or that run of games getting beaten, we'd be very close to Liverpool. There's not much to choose between the two teams. So largely, going into the FA Cup final, Liv, it feels as though there's a bit of a line in the sand drawn. Now we can move in. There is some positivity about it, which, let's be honest, we've had very little to talk about.
Yeah, very little. I mean, it's mixed emotions because I looked at the table after the result and I thought, if we had just got our act together just a little bit sooner.
Even just against Forest.
Yeah.
Even if we'd have just got 3 points against Forest.
Yeah.
It changes the complete outlook of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we would have been, vying for that 6th position, which obviously it looks like Villa will probably get the Europa League in the 5th spot as well. So, but yeah, good. They're definitely positives to take because I think a lot of those players, they had a point to prove after Forest because it felt like they down-tooled, in my opinion. But then obviously they showed that they could be give a little bit of a spirited performance against Liverpool. And there was a couple of players that came up from an injury, Reece James, Colwill. So yeah, hopefully it helps going into City.
I think the response, Jace, to going behind, because I think when Gravenberch that goal went in, I think we all thought, oh God, here we go again. But actually, what did we see from the team in that after the goal that we maybe haven't seen across the last 6 games before that?
Do you know, when a goal comes so early in a game, it has no pattern, has no flow. Yeah. You can sometimes get slightly... your opinion of what the game is going to look like gets distorted because the goal's gone in. I thought we reacted well. And the way the game went, not only did we react well to going 1-0 down, Liv, but I thought there was a real positivity about the way we played. On the front foot, our better players turned up. Cucurella was excellent. Yeah. Moises, Levi Colwill, we'll have a chat about him in a second. Yeah. But that's something that over the last 2.5, 3 years, my criticism of Chelsea has been we don't deal with setbacks well. And I thought going to Anfield, 1-0 down early in the game, had no pattern, and we set the tempo. And I thought first half, I thought we were much the better side.
Yeah. Preparing ourselves for when we go 1-0 down against City on Saturday.
I
hope not.
I really thought, we could capitulate again because we've been losing 3-0 so often. That goal going in that early, I thought the worst. But it should have been saved as well. I have to say that. I think the difference between Jorgensen and Sanchez is quite vast. We've seen that multiple points this season when we kind of chopped and changed and messed around with the goalkeepers. He got a hand to it, but he's weak.
Sanchez saves that.
Yeah, he does. And it wasn't right in the top corner at all. But credit to them for getting themselves together and getting themselves back into the game because we haven't seen that a lot lately. We've just seen capitulations, heads go down, but they managed to... I mean, the caveat is, if I'm being honest, Liverpool's front line, you look at how weak it was. Yeah. I'm glad that defensively we were a lot more responsible than we have been, but when you've got a front line of, Rio, Gakpo and obviously Caicedo coming on, and Frimpong, it's not the level that you're going to see on the weekend against City. No,
absolutely not. Let's talk about Levi Colwill then, because out of, I thought he was the best player on the pitch. And to do that in his first start since coming back after such an awful injury says a lot about him, and it's almost like he's picked up where he left off before he got injured, and I think that says a lot about him.
I was waiting for him to fatigue, Liv. I was just watching as the game is going on. I'm commentating with Chelsea TV. I'm thinking, when it got to 60, 70 minutes, you're going, what's it going to look like? Is he going to bring Trev on?
He did go down, sorry to interrupt, he did go down in the start of the second half, wasn't it? I think end of the first half, start of the second, and I was thinking, oh, God, does he... But actually...
No, and I thought he looked like he'd been there all season. Did not look like he'd just come back from a long-term injury. And he's a big plus, because that's the area of the pitch where we have chopped and changed a huge amount. I mean, you ask any Chelsea fan, what's the partnership that's played most at centre-half? I ain't got a clue. Yeah. I mean, Trev will probably be Trev and someone, but I honestly couldn't tell you. So, yes, I thought Fofana alongside him looked good. There was a hybrid between a 3 at the back and a 4. The way we changed it, a little bit lopsided, more down the left than so Cucurella was more the one that was going in and joining up to be a number 8 than Gusto. So Gusto was a little bit more tempered. But really pleased with the performance, really delighted for Levi, because that is a tough season he's had. Not only has he missed out on a huge amount of football, he's going to miss out on the World Cup. Yeah,
he's definitely going to miss out on the World Cup, which is, really gutting for him at a time when he was playing so well. But it's not even just his ability on the pitch that we've missed, the leadership. I know he's still a young player, but you could see back end of last season what he was offering you in terms of that when there wasn't many leaders on that pitch, and he was one of, if not the. So to have that back as well, made it just a bit more organised as well, and you could tell, couldn't you, from that Liverpool performance?
Yeah, I remember at the back end of last season, he obviously gets the goal at the City ground, Nottingham Forest, massive moment for our Champions League qualification. You saw the quotes and some of the things he was starting to say in the build-up to the new season, obviously Club World Cup. Such a massive shame. I mean, Maresca made it clear how integral he was tactically, on the ball, breaking lines, all of that kind of stuff. But then also, like you said, the intangibles as well, which I don't want to overstate, but just because he was even building them up, it's massive, because we don't really have many players we look to and say, oh, there's leadership qualities here and there. So it would have been a very potentially different season defensively if we had him involved, for sure.
No question.
Yeah, obviously just the 90 minutes he played, 11 defensive contributions, 3 interceptions, 6 clearances, 2 out of 2 ground duels won, 2 out of 2 aerial duels won, and he was dribbled past 0 times. So, it was a brilliant performance from Levi Colwill. And Callum McFarlane said he plays first 90 minutes, thought he was the best player on the pitch, gives you the ability to play out from the back, called him one of the best centre-backs in the world. Maybe a little bit too soon. But we know what Levi Colwill can offer. We know what he's about on the pitch. And maybe is it now, Jace, about finding someone that can play next to him permanently? Because any good and consistent side that wins the league or gets in the top 4, you know what their centre-back pairing is, and it doesn't change.
No, he is our best centre-half. I thought when Fofana came in, it felt like those two would be the pillars at the back. It hasn't quite happened for various different reasons. Fofana's had his injuries, Levi's had his injuries, and that centre-half pairing, as I alluded to, has been a real issue for all the managers that we've had. It does feel as though that he's going to be number 1, who plays alongside him. We've got so many centre-halves.
But we need to buy another one.
So many centre-halves. We're stockpiled centre-backs, but they're all very similar. Levi is, for me, head and shoulders above the rest. So in answer to your question, it is going to be him plus another.
So who out of the current centre-back choices, Matisse, would you have next to Levi at this current moment? Let's talk about let's say for the FA Cup final, obviously that's coming this weekend. Big game, the biggest game of our season in terms of the only real thing and we've now got to play for. So who would you have next to, unless you're going to go with that 3 again?
A hybrid again. I wonder if we do that.
I think, based on the fact that we have no wingers available as well, it kind of forces us to go with the 2 tucked-in 10s, which is obviously Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, the box crashing, the goal scoring he's brought to the team. The wing-backs, Cucurella gets forward, he actually adds goals to the team. I know he had a few moments in that kind of underlapping, almost O'Reilly-like Man City run where he kind of gets himself into good positions, Caicedo making good passes from deep. You're getting the best out of him maybe in this setup right now. I think you probably have to go towards Fofana and stick with that defensive line. Again, it's difficult to read into that performance because the front line that we were playing against from Liverpool was so weak that it's not a fair judgment on what you're going to face when you have Haaland, when you have Doku, who's in really good form, Cherki. It's a completely different ballgame. But none of the centre-backs have played well enough this season. They've all been inconsistent. They've all made mistakes. The only thing I will say is next to Levi Colwill, you need pace. I think you need someone that's going to sweep. And Fofana should be, out of everyone, the quickest if he's fully fit. So, I'd probably go for Fofana. But
do you think we'll go with 3?
You're pulling hairs. I think you should, I think to deal with Haaland, I mean, I look at obviously...
I just wonder whether Trev might come into that.
Maybe.
Because of the physicality of Trev.
Who was the 3 that started? So it was Colwill, Hatto and Fofana.
Well, Hatto was that left... When Cucurella went on, Hatto would go around and Gusto would make up the 4. That was how we kind of... But you could have Colwill out there.
Well, I think there's a shout for Reece James to maybe. If he's possibly available to start, Reece James right side centre back in a 3. Yeah, he came in the midfield. But Reece James certainly defensively, he's strong enough, I think, to deal with any kind of combative Haaland kind of physical presence if he comes over to his side. That's where I'd worry about Fofana. I've seen Fofana easily barged off the ball, quite weak at times, fragile this season. But yeah, it's if you go 3, it's a little bit safer, I think, just to kind of completely control Haaland. But yeah.
I mean, when I look at I don't think I trust us in a 4 against Erling Haaland, because it's not just Erling Haaland, like you say. It's about Jeremy Doku. At the moment, you need a Reece James on Jeremy Doku.
Yeah.
Because he's been so effective for Manchester. I mean, you know what he's going to do and you can't stop him. So you need someone who's that right-sided centre-back that's going to be able to one-on-one defend. And actually, that's probably Reece James. Were you surprised when he brought Reece James on into midfield?
I thought Colwill might come off, actually. I was just waiting for that because his stamina-wise, but it was good to see. I think that is telling us Reece is fit enough to start the FA Cup. I think that's go on, get yourself 20 minutes under your belt. I thought Reece looked very comfortable. I mean, wherever he plays, he makes the game look so easy. I think that is a real conundrum for Callum about what he does if he plays a 3. Who is going to be that wing back? Do you play Reece that wing back? And do you have?
I don't think you can physically.
I think if he plays centre
not looking at that kind of.
So you're looking
because
at
actually Gusto
didn't
do a lot.
Yeah.
Cucurella was the one. He was the one that was opening his legs a bit.
There's a couple. You don't get the Reece James that you want if he's playing that sort of more reserved wing back role.
There is that. But he could come into midfield. We've seen that before. If he's wing back, I think what we also need to do is we need to worry about City and what they've got, but we also need to have carrying a threat because we need to score. And I think there's that balance between controlling and dealing with what City have got, and they've got a huge amount. But at the same time, we need to get the ball forward. We need Enzo, get Palmer on the ball. Can we get Cucurella in that number 8 position again?
And I think that means Reece James not playing in that wing-back role then, doesn't it? You've also got it, like Jay says, you can't just think about City. You have to... We need to score. We want to win this. And Reece James is one of our best in terms of attacking. If you want assists, if you want balls into the box, are we going to get that from him if he plays there?
I think the point that you made on Doku and James is massive. I think James has to be tasked with dealing with Doku 1v1. He's been an absolute massive issue for teams recently, and we know 1v1 he's deadly. But then Gusto, probably athleticism-wise, is going to give you that overlap on Colwill, and we've seen how that's worked before. Club World Cup, Pochettino. No Neto available, potentially Garnacho. You do need off-the-ball runners, and that's what Cucurella's brought to the table. So I think we could do well to probably put Reece James into that 3 with Colwill, and maybe Hato might be. Maybe it's Fofana, but I think we do need the runners, and we do need the athleticism because it's a big pitch, Wembley.
Yeah.
So
he's right. We need to make sure we're not just talking about dealing with them and getting camped in.
We're going to get
because the pace in our team from Neto. Look, fingers crossed he's back. Garnacho, even though he's had a bit of an iffy season, we lack genuine pace going forward in the wide areas. And Esteval, he's out. You know, that type of dynamism that we can have from whoever you play out in the wide areas seems to have, we look a little bit flat in those wide areas.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure that's going to change ahead of Saturday. I think we're just going to have to go with that 3 at the back and those wing backs in those situations. What did you make of Moises Caicedo? Because there was a lot made of his recent form and maybe not been as good as we know Moises Caicedo to be.
Bit more like Moises.
Yeah.
Bit more snapping into tackles. Being there, getting in their face.
Yeah.
I think there's been a little bit of a. He's not looked as sharp. He's not looked quite as aggressive. I know he's cut a couple of red cards, and that's his game. Snapping into those tackles, getting it, extending that big right leg and towing the ball away. There was more of that. And if we are going to do anything in any game, Moises needs to be delivering that kind of performance. So much, much better from him.
Yeah.
Some of the passes he played was ridiculous. Like, just every time I found myself looking at a Chelsea chance, Cucurella had a couple, Enzo had a couple, it's always Caicedo that played that pass. And we've spoken about how his passing is quite underrated. It's not really spoken about a lot. Obviously, he is a defensive midfielder for us. He is a bit of a destroyer. But with the right partner next to him that could maybe even give him a bit more freedom. I remember when Kante had Jorginho, had Kovacic, and he was allowed to just kind of go further forward, counter-press. I think there's more to Caicedo than we're seeing. Certainly this season, it's not been as good as the season before, but there's a lot more well-roundedness in Caicedo's game that we haven't maybe even tapped into yet.
Who is the right partner for Moises Caicedo then, when you look at the current Chelsea team? Who's going to bring the best out of him?
Well, I mean, if you're going to play a 3 at the back, it's then, you know, when we looked at the team, you had João Pedro, Palmer and Enzo, they were slightly more narrow, weren't they? Because the wing-backs should give you that width. Yeah. I think you need to go a bit more defensive. I think you need to be careful. And here's me saying we have to carry a threat, which we do. I don't mind Santos alongside him, but Lavia gives us that option to break out. He can get on that half turn. He's brilliant at receiving the ball, opening his body and playing it. And so there at least is yes, we need to be defensively solid in the middle of the park, but at the same time we need to get out. So I might go with Lavia, you know. I think that will be against City. Defensively, he can still do it, but he's absolutely a wizard when you get that ball into his feet on the half turn, and he can get us out. Yeah. And City will press.
Not a lot of people do that half turn better than Romeo Lavia. Yeah. Would you agree, Matisse? Who do you think is?
I think it's horses for courses. I think both players are like Lavia and Santos, but neither of them are that kind of Nemanja Matic profile we used to have. That I feel like next to Caicedo, if you could just put an absolute brute force next to him in terms of strength, in terms of aerially, in terms of, you know, set pieces on both ends of the pitch. That's what that physical presence I feel like we're lacking in the midfield at times. We can be a bit easy to play through sometimes. We can be a bit fragile. We're not great at tackling from behind. I see us making a lot of fouls we don't need to make. I feel like that kind of linchpin, that real true 6, which I don't think either of them are. I look at Lavia, I kind of compare him to Kovacic, very good at kind of evading pressure, like you said. Santos, again, could be more of a box-to-box midfielder at times, still good press resistance, but there's just that linchpin we're missing, that real figure. Mikel we've had, Matic we've had, Makalele, and it's just that true sitter. I don't think we have it at the club at the moment.
Do you think that's a priority for the summer, getting someone? Because actually, when you look at our midfield options, Andre Santos, Romeo Lavia.
It depends on the manager. I think if we're going to be a team that dominate possession, I think all of the midfielders we have, we can play some beautiful football. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's the top priority because I think there's so many other areas we need to address. I think the goalkeeper needs to be addressed. I think the left wingers need to be addressed. I think the backup striker position needs to be addressed. The centre-back position needs to be addressed. So there's so much to address that the midfield for me isn't priority. But I think if we're nitpicking and we're really looking at just fine-tuning this team, I think that midfield, there's just one profile missing there. Obviously, we have a Segro who's been injured most of the season. Maybe he needs a loan, maybe he needs more regular game time. You take him out and you bring in that type of player, I think it just completes that midfield perfectly then. Yeah,
I'm interested, I'm intrigued to see what Chelsea do in the summer. Not just with the manager. We said when we're sat here, we still don't have a clue, or we're still not any closer to working out who the Chelsea manager's going to be. And then I suppose after that comes what's going to happen in the summer in terms of players. But I feel like the sporting directors are going to do what they want in terms of players. They're probably not going to... The manager's not going to have much say in that. Anyway, Jace, what did you make of the overall mentality then of that Chelsea side against Liverpool? We've mentioned the whole, you know, the response to going behind, and that was good. And it's actually the first time we've outrun our opponents in the Premier League this season. Right, okay. Which is the most ridiculous stat. It happened for the first time, not in the Premier League, in the FA Cup semi-final against Leeds. That's the first time we did it all season in all competitions. So I can't get my head around that stat. It's nuts. First time we've outrun our opponents. Yeah, see, that can be a little bit misleading. Can it? Yeah, I think so, because no one said anything when we were winning matches. Only when you lose matches does it become a headline. And it's like, it's another... Look, you don't always want to be outrun, but it's a little bit like possession stats. It's 70% possession, got beat 2-0. Yeah. So it can be a little bit... I think what you need to do is have the bigger picture. It's a way of looking at a game, but don't just take it on just face value. Look around that. But like I said, we don't want to be outrun every single week. That doesn't... But we have been. That doesn't look... We have been outrun every single week. There have been games that live where I can believe it. Right? But there are games you go, I'm not quite sure I've seen that. But in terms of the mentality, we both touched on it. When Chelsea went 1-0 down, I think we all felt, oh no, here we go. We've conceded 3 goals the last 2 games. We're not great. We can't string a win together, can't get anything. But to fight our way back into the game, not only fight our way back into it, when we scored, we absolutely deserved that. Yeah. That was a point in the game where we were on top. We took the game to Liverpool. They couldn't get out. And the second half, I felt we should have had a penalty. And another day, Liv, we come away with 3 points. Yeah. And it would have been very different. So I'm really pleased that we didn't crumble. Look, that fragility that we've seen so often was nowhere to be seen. So I was proud of them actually on Saturday. It did look like they... Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that the players don't care, and I'm sure they do care. But the last run of games, I think it's fair to question maybe how much they wanted to win or how much they cared.
Yeah.
But it did look like they cared against Liverpool. It really did look like they actually really, really wanted to win that game. I mean, it's a pity it's come too little too late.
Yeah.
But it's nice that we actually saw a little bit of that, especially because we haven't recently.
Yeah, listen, I think their mentalities were rightly questioned against Forest.
Yeah.
You lose to that B team who had prioritised in the Thursday second leg against Villa at home, and not just lose, battered 3-0 until the consolation. Your mentality has to be questioned because the starting 11 technically had enough quality on the pitch to take it to Forest. So I think maybe they've seen some of the comments, maybe they've seen some of the question marks on them. I saw some of the pre-match kind of, we want to show that that we are committed, we are up for the fight. I saw Fofana speaking, and they did show that they were up for it, but it is too little, too late. And I think a lot of them know that the football club should not be in this position, especially when there's 6 spots up for Champions League, most likely. You're looking at a Bournemouth, a Brighton and a Brentford going to be playing Champions League next season. We're not. That is nothing short of disgraceful. It's just as simple as that.
We actually can't catch Brentford.
No.
Well, Bournemouth.
Bournemouth,
We technically can if they lose both of their games. I mean,
yeah.
they have got Man City, so they could lose that one. I don't know who they've got on the last day. But we'd have to beat, obviously, Spurs and Sunderland away, which I suppose we could do. You never quite really know. We do tend to beat Spurs, no matter how bad
I think there's too much traffic in between.
Too much. You wouldn't want to...
No, Jason, how has this situation been allowed to happen?
Well, the results... Is that
6 games.
6 games. That 6 games has defined our season.
Yeah.
Now, we were pretty poor in most of those, all right? Man United game aside, you might come away with something.
Yeah.
But largely, we were pretty poor. And that's the reason. That 6-week period, that 6-game period, that's why we are where we are. And that's why we can't catch them. And the other teams, they've been picking up points. I mean, Bournemouth, unbeaten in, 17 games?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a nuts run.
Iraiola's leaving at the end of the season as well.
Well, yes.
I'm not sure where he's going if they're going to be playing Champions League football.
The capacity of their stadium's 11,000.
Yeah.
And they could be having Real Madrid at the Vitality next season.
Yeah.
Do you know how incredibly bad that situation is that we have allowed?
Yeah.
We were given a lifeline.
Yeah.
How bad we've been this part of the year.
It's unacceptable.
I mean,
unacceptable.
The irony if Brighton make it, I don't even want to get into that. So,
I mean,
because
the way they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, they're up for it. They would have qualified for it as many times as we have in the 4 years since we started trying to mimic them. So it's not for good reading. I'm actually quite happy for those clubs because I think it's a nice story for football that one of those 3 clubs could actually play Champions League football. But at our expense, it's not good. I mean, you look at the wage bills, the spending power of those teams. Some of the players that they've lost, you look at Bournemouth, they've lost Huijsen.
What's their whole back 5?
They've lost their whole back line. Yeah. Brentford have lost, in Buemo, they lost Wissa.
And their manager.
They lost their captain, Norgard. They lost their manager. The fact that their teams were severely weakened and they're in that position and we were meant to have strengthened,
optically it doesn't look great.
It's really not good.
But they are very well... They are 3 of the best-run clubs in the Premier League. When you look at the resources they have available to them and the fact that it doesn't matter that they lose their best players because their scouts and their sporting directors are that good that they go out and... Look at Brentford going to get Igor Thiago.
Yeah. It's crazy,
after you lose Mbumo and Wissa.
And Tony the year before.
and the whole back 5 of Bournemouth.
Yeah.
You go out and their scouts are so good that they find players that can immediately step up and play at Premier League level.
Yeah.
And it's just, and fair play, because one of those 3 is going to get it.
Yeah.
And I think that teaches us a little bit of a lesson. And I think it's another...
It's a terrible look, Liv.
Look, you've got to take a good, hard look at yourself when Brentford, Bournemouth or Brighton are getting Champions League football when it's gone down to 6th place. At our expense.
Yeah, you cannot excuse it, and I'm not going to. It is a terrible look and something that needs to be reflected on internally because that's a chance gone. Why? How?
More than a chance.
Why and how has this happened? Yep, I hear you.
Our home form, obviously spoken about the Forest game, Man United, our home form this season has been atrocious, right?
Yeah.
Oh, pen's gone flying. Home form has been atrocious. Does this, again, sort of speak volumes to the fact that there is... I mean, I use the word disconnect. Chelsea fans don't like me and the word disconnect because I said that all those years ago and it turns out that maybe I was right. But do you feel that maybe the atmosphere inside the ground, because of everything that's going on, because of results, and maybe just that plays a huge part into why our home form hasn't been great? Or what do you think that's down to? Because it hasn't been anywhere near good enough.
No, I think there is certainly, if it's not a massive game, the onus is on maybe the team, maybe the manager, in the certain way that we go about things to kind of attack first and to get the crowd up off their feet first, get that early goal, then the crowd will kind of follow suit. I think tactically as well, going up against low blocks at Stamford Bridge has been an issue for us for years.
How have we not sorted that out when it's been an issue? So,
for me, it's
5 years.
For me, it's a player thing. I think we sometimes overstate the manager, like systematically, tactically, what can he do to destroy a low block? Absolutely, I think there's a percentage that can be played there. But when I watch, you know, Palmer in his peak form, Elise this season at Bayern, Yamal at Barca, Kane, you know, when I look at top quality individuals, they find Cherki at City, they find solutions against low blocks. We haven't had a striker up front airily. Maybe João Pedro this season's shown a little glimpse and a glamour of it, but you haven't had a striker airily that we can cross to for years. The last striker maybe that was physically imposing up front was maybe Diego Costa that I can remember. 100%. That we could actually cross to.
100%.
So, you know, you're going up against a low block, you want to put balls into the box, you don't have strikers that you can airily hit. Or Giroud is a good example. You know, in terms of the individual brilliance from Hazard, we haven't had that level of dribbler, that level of kind of individual brilliance. So when you don't have these things, it is man for man. And then you get shoved into the wide areas and then it becomes sideways and it becomes quite predictable because no one wants to take that risk because no one's got the quality to kind of unlock the door and beat two, you know, one or two players. Doku, obviously, at City does it. I think it's a player quality thing first, and then after that we go into the managers. But yeah.
I mean, Matisse, I totally agree with him. And he said also, when you play against a team that's set up tactically as a low block or they're set up nice and compact, when they are out of shape, and it will happen either a breakaway, a set piece, when you are in possession, the quicker you move the ball, the quicker you are to get into those areas that you can hurt them. Yeah. We are so slow and so laboured, and we're prepared to go backwards. And by the time we go backwards and sideways, they got back in their shape. Yeah. And it frustrates the life out of me because you watch Arsenal, and they're brilliant at it. You watch a set piece, RAYA will come and claim it, and he's bang. Yeah. And he's said, because teams set up a low block against Arsenal. Yeah. This is teams that go away from home I'm talking about now, because Stamford Bridge have this problem. City have it. Liverpool on the title had it. They find a way, but you look how quickly they move the ball. You look at the speed in which, and there's a trigger. So RAYA gets it, and as soon as he gets it, boom, the red arrows go flying up that pitch. He bowls it out. Sanchez gets it, goes and rolls it out, and the moment's gone. Yeah. And these little moments we don't take advantage of, but how laboured we are, and then get the balls in those wide. He's right. Take a fullback on. Yeah. Take a fullback on. Worst way is you get a corner. Worst ways you get a throw in.
We don't have any wingers that take fullbacks on apart.
Well, we've got
no
fit at the moment, but yeah, there's a number of reasons why. A particular home, teams will come to Stamford Bridge and they will set up. And do you know what? It's the right thing to do because we are terrible at trying to break that down. There needs to be a mentality of right. We need to move this ball quick. The ball will move quicker than anyone can run. Yeah. And we don't. For me, we're too laboured in our build-up at times.
Yeah. Let's talk about Enzo Fernandez. 58 games this season, more than any other Chelsea player. Has he been our best player?
Not for me. I think João Pedro, for me, I'd give Player of the Year. I just think outside of even the games where he hasn't scored, he hasn't assisted, I think João Pedro's performance has been more complete, especially in games we've been down to 10 men where he's probably been in a two-man attack versus a three, and he's still managed to go to Old Trafford and keep things together. But Enzo Fernandez has definitely been top three, I think. Just purely because even with all the controversy around his move to, well, his longing to go to Madrid or live in Madrid, he's still, for me, put up a fight in these last few weeks where it looks like a lot of the players maybe don't care or they're not as motivated to play. He still shows that appetite. And he scored a lot of big goals. You look at the goal against Leeds, you look at the goal against City at the Etihad, winner against West Ham, countless more. They're not just goals just for goal's sake, you know, the third or the fourth goal in a big win. They're definitive goals that like decide football matches. And he's quite polarising. It feels like there's always something that people want him to do more of. He doesn't have the athleticism. He's not a dribbler. He's not going to carry the ball in a transition, maybe help counters be as quick as they need to be. But this team lacks goals. So I think any midfielder right now that's putting up those numbers, where the wingers don't put up those numbers, Palmer's not put up the numbers this year, the backup striker's not put... We need these numbers, so it's needed. And yeah, he can obviously always improve certain parts of his game, but I think sometimes we do ask the world of him because of the price tag, and it's like other people also need to pull their weight as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. 14 goals and 6 assists this season. Is he going to be a Chelsea player beyond this summer?
Who knows, Liv?
Do you want him to be a Chelsea player beyond this summer?
You know what? The stats. When I watch the game, there are games that he plays well in.
Yeah.
And there are games that I think at times, Everton away, it sticks in my throat because he wasn't the only one, by the way. We were terrible. He threw in an all-time stinker that day.
Yeah.
But he's not the finished article when he stretched the imagination. But when I see those numbers, I kind of feel that isn't the player I watch. That's not a player that has a huge influence on the game. He pops up with big goals.
Yeah.
Matisse is right. Scored at the weekend, of course, against Liverpool.
Did he
does. He does. Yeah.
Got an assist either way.
But he does come up with those big moments. Yeah. FA Cup. So he's got a little bit of that about it. I still need, for me, I want to see him control games better than he does at times. And there's also that temperament issue. I think there's, I love his enthusiasm. Yeah. One thing he does do, he will give you 100% more often than not.
Yeah.
Everton aside, I'm going to throw that in again. But I think there's more to come from him. Will he be a Chelsea player next year? Who knows, Liv?
Be living up in sunny Spain.
Who knows? If he wants to go, he will go.
Yeah.
If he comes back a World Cup winner again and his price tag may well have either inflated or stayed where it was, I don't know what you're going to get for him.
Yeah.
Has he lived up to the price tag? Probably
You're not
not.
going to get anywhere close to what you paid for him.
Well,
No.
yeah, I think that's a tricky one. Yeah.
Max, I think you could get for him is 80. But I do look at the market sometimes and I think, I saw what Sesko went for. I've seen what some of the players we paid for, 55, 60 million. I think, you're still going to get good money, and I don't know what the book value is. I haven't mathematically gone through it, but I'm sure we're going to get what we need if we need to get rid of him, or if they want to get rid of him.
Right, on the show last week, you did a fun little game, I wasn't here, of keep or sell. I actually should probably go back and watch this. I imagine most of them were sell, to be honest. But we are going to carry it on. So we didn't do the forwards. These are like the forwards or the wingers. Do I have to answer this as well, by the way? Is the presenter involved?
Yeah, I think so.
You can get yourself involved. Why not?
Absolutely.
I don't know. I might just stick it to you two. OK, right. Keep, loan or sell.
Right, OK.
First one.
Yep.
Pedro Neto.
Keep.
Matisse? Oh, OK, Jace. While Matisse thinks, why keep?
Because we are a team that lacks pace out in those wide areas. He is rapid.
Yeah.
He has had an indifferent season. But when he is good, he is good.
Yeah.
We saw that against Leeds in the FA Cup semi-final. There are parts of the game where he, for me, disappears.
Yeah.
I don't like that. He can play both sides, left and right, better on the right, but can do a job on the left as well.
Yeah.
So they're the reasons I'm going to keep him.
Matisse?
I would sell. I think I've seen enough personally. I feel like there's a clear cap on his game in terms of goal scoring, in terms of output, decision making. It's too inconsistent for me, and I feel like we need to improve the wide areas drastically. I think make room for him, I think.
So you think that, obviously we know Esteval, we'll get to Esteval in a second, obviously, providing we'll probably all keep him. You think you wouldn't even keep Pedro Neto as like a backup to say Esteval or a left winger?
I don't see him really doing the backup role.
Yeah,
I feel like his importance has now been stated to a level where I think he expects to be a starter. Obviously, Quenda's coming in from Sporting Lisbon as well. Let's see how he does. But we've already got one, in Esteval. Quenda coming in is expected to be part of the first team. If I don't clear Neto, I'm not going to have room to bring in, I think, the level of quality that we need out there. We need goals. We need goals and we need assists. And every single season, consistently, he doesn't put up the numbers that are required. OK.
Right. Liam Delap.
Loan.
Yeah, I think I'd agree.
Loan. I feel desperately sorry for him because he comes such a big... But he comes, a reputation that was growing in the Premier League.
Yeah.
A large chunk of money, not ridiculous money, but probably slightly overpaid for where he was at the stage of his career. Yeah. But I feel he's had the injury problems in the Club World Cup, looked comfortable. Yeah. Injuries, hasn't been able to get himself going, played in a team that largely this season has been up and down. And he's played a bit of a bit-part role. Yeah. Coming off the bench, it's been very difficult for him to maintain any kind of consistency. And I'm still wondering whether there's something in there. I've not completely given up on him yet. I know a lot of Chelsea fans are thinking, move on, I've seen enough, he's not... But for me, I would loan him, and I just wonder whether Ipswich may well be that one, Liv.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Ipswich... I feel like Liam Delap has missed a step in his development. I think scoring to, 11 or 12 Premier League goals last season for Ipswich, and I just felt like an Everton And if Chelsea wanted to buy him, but obviously because of the whole Nicholas Jackson thing, we were almost forced to keep him.
But he had a nice release clause, didn't he? Which we got him
we got him at that 30 million, right? And in his day and age,
that's his price.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's good value for me.
Yeah.
For what you were getting at that particular time.
Yeah.
But I have sympathy with him because of the situation he joined, his injuries, and we've actually been pretty... Managerial change, 3 managers.
I just don't know if he suits the way Chelsea play, though.
Well,
I just think as a whole...
You might be right.
I think maybe he's more suited to a team like Ipswich, backs against the wall. But for Ipswich, he was very good at holding the ball up and very good at bringing people into play. And we haven't necessarily seen that. Matisse, keep, loan or sell?
I would sell as well.
We're going to have no attackers left after Matisse.
We're going to
have one.
Purely
João
again,
Pedro.
no, because I genuinely don't think he suits. I don't think he suits our style of play.
Yeah, I agree.
Depends who comes in. Who comes in as manager?
It does depend who comes in.
Jackson back.
It does depend who comes in.
Bring Nicholas Jackson back.
I think for me personally, you're gonna come up against low blocks regardless of who comes in charge, but who takes the hot seat, and I think. He does suit, I think, more transitional teams that are going to just be more direct and just go long. And I don't see us ever booting the ball up to Liam Delap and going long like that consistently.
And Ipswich come up against a lot of teams that don't play like in teams like Chelsea do, so it's very different.
Yeah. 100%. OK, Jamie Gittins.
Sell.
Yeah.
It's been
I have the same sympathy that I have for him for Liam. Not been able to get himself going. I mean, I don't know how many games he's played, but if he's got to double figures, I can't remember them.
No.
I mean, I remember the goal in the League Cup away at Wolves.
That's it.
Yeah.
That was a worldie, to be fair.
Yeah, and I have sympathy.
But that's it.
But he's had his own injury problems. But, yeah, I think those wide areas do need some attention, but he'd be one that I would make way for that.
Yeah, I'd sell as well. I think if Xabi Alonso, which is the ideal situation, you maybe don't even play with wingers. You play with wing-backs and you play a 3-4-3, which is what he played at Leverkusen. I know he went to a 4 at Real Madrid and he's flexible in that aspect. Glasner, if he comes up on the radar, he also plays a back 3. Whatever manager we end up with, but if we do end up with one that plays a back 3, we don't actually need wingers at this point. We just need inside 10s and wing backs. So I think
we just need Marcus Alonso and Victor Moises.
yeah.
That's all we need.
I
think the league again.
I think there's a lot of room to be made out wide, regardless. Yeah.
OK, João Pedro, quick one.
That's my keep.
Yeah.
Hey,
the first keep of the day.
There's going to be no but Cobham training if Matisse was in charge.
The attack's not been good this season. What can I say?
Yeah, just absolutely brilliant. We've spoken about him, João Pedro. He'll be Chelsea's number 9 for next season. And Marc, you?
So.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, only paid 5 million.
Again, I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, he is not dissimilar to Delap.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of similar kind of feeling centre forwards.
Yeah.
But I would still persist with Delap. But it does feel like Marc, for his own career, needs to move on.
We have got a real issue with attackers in the summer. We have a real problem that needs to be solved. OK, Esteval. No, you don't need to answer that.
That's a keep.
OK, Esteval, keep. And the final one is Alejandro Garnacho.
Sell. Yep. I just... You were buying someone who had a reputation, both good and bad, depending on who you want to listen to, but also knew the Premier League. And he infuriates me at times how his first touch is always backwards or sideways. I'd like to see him be a little bit more courageous.
Yeah.
You know, we saw Jesse come off, make his first start, and I love the way he took the centre half.
Thought it was really good, yeah. Thought it was really good.
Until he got the head injury.
Yeah.
I want to see Garnacho do that.
Yeah.
Because he's a bit predictable at times. So, yeah, I think I'd probably...
If we have one game a week, the squad doesn't need to be as deep as well, which is looking likely might be the case, depending on the FA Cup final. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of room to... I think we need to have a bit of a clear out, and we need to cleanse the squad a little bit and just maybe bring through some of the academy players as well if we think they've got potential, and then just add only quality in a few positions in the summer.
Yeah, obviously Saturday is the biggest game of our season now, with all the context, FA Cup final against Manchester City. We were speaking about the way that Chelsea play and the way teams set up against Chelsea. The one thing that we are going to need against City is that pace, because City are going to have majority of the ball. We're going to have, a lot of the time, you'd think they'll be there, in our half, and we need to be able to have pace on the counter and have to take our chances against Manchester City. Yeah,
I mean, assuming that they're still very much in the title race, which they should be by that stage.
Yeah, you'd think.
You might not see the Cherokes and the Dockers. It may well be a slightly mixed bag of the sort of teams that we saw against Southampton in the semi-final.
Yeah.
mixing it about, because he will, of the 2 games that he has, if they still get the title, they still very much can. It looks like Arsenal's have got at least one hand, or it may be a couple of fingers from the other hand as well. But that might be a decision for Pep. He goes, right, this game is just as big or even bigger than the league game. So we will see what team selection looks like.
Do you think that he might rest players, Pep?
I don't think so. I think after what happened at the weekend with the Arsenal-West Ham game, I think he probably is going to want to get a cup double under his belt, something that is in his control. The league is not in his control anymore. They're playing Bournemouth away, which is a team fighting for Champions League. I could easily see them dropping points there. Personally, I don't think Arsenal drop points to Burnley or Palace. Palace have already kind of publicly said that they're focusing on Conference League, and they get 10 million if Eze wins the Premier League as well. So I'm not expecting any favours from any of those 2 teams.
Now, Callum McFarlane's already played City once, got a point against them. How do Chelsea beat City, Jace?
Well, I think that what we saw at the weekend against Liverpool, I thought we saw tactically, Callum thinks about the game. I was very impressed with what we did first half against Leeds, going long.
Yeah.
I think you expect City to be pressing high weight, setting little traps. I think we need to go back to and keep things simple, Liv. Don't overcomplicate it. What Liam Rosenior did certainly with playing the ball out, keep ball in their own box. I expect, fingers crossed, Sanchez does play, because shot stopping, we absolutely need him and claiming crosses.
Yeah.
And I think we need to, at times, carry a threat going forward. Set pieces will be absolutely crucial, because in open play, City are very difficult, not impossible to break them down. They give you chances, City.
Yeah, they do. 100% they do.
They are a generous side, and they tend sometimes overcommit.
Yeah.
Me personally, keep the game simple.
Yeah.
No playing out from the back, no overcomplicating the game at the back.
So a similar team to the Liverpool one.
Yeah,
I
hopefully
so.
Sanchez will be available
so,
for the goalkeeping position, and then back 5, back 3, wing backs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Right, now it's time for our Bet Builder with BetMGM. Remember, you can download the app or head to betmgm.co.uk. Right, I'm going to kick things off, and listen, I've got to go positive. We've got to back our team. I'm going to go for Chelsea to lift the trophy. Because I'm not sure it's going to come in 90 minutes. So I reckon extra time, pens, anything can happen in a final. Chelsea to lift the trophy. Okay?
Yeah, fingers crossed, Liv. I'm going to go both teams to score.
Yeah.
They do give up chances. They are a side that will open up at the back. They can be at times very porous at the back.
Yeah.
But same here. So I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. I don't see them keeping a clean sheet.
Matisse?
I'm going to go for over 3.5 goals. I feel like there's going to be a goal fest. Hopefully just an entertaining game. João Pedro versus Haaland.
Yeah, can't wait. The odds are on your screen now. Just before we leave then, let's talk about the madness that ensured at the London Stadium on Sunday afternoon. I'll just give you my thoughts first of all. I feel like we've seen this situation a million times in the Premier League this season. I think goalkeepers in previous seasons have been protected massively. This season, they've let Arsenal get away with doing stuff like that. They've actually been quite lenient, and they've said goalkeepers need to be stronger. So I can't really get my head around why, when there's a foul on David Raya, which it is, by the way, I think it is a foul on David Raya, but there's also a foul on Pablo, who's being held down himself with his shirt. Todibo's got hold of Raya. You've got Declan Rice rugby tackling Mavropanos just behind you. So I can't understand why they've disallowed the goal purely on that David Raya foul. Jace, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a foul. I think it's the right decision. I don't think what you can do is say, well, there's a foul over there, that's a foul there, so we have to allow that one. What we might find moving forward next season, because Arsenal are very good at it. They're not the only ones. They're very good at holding on, that making sure you can't get a clean jump, grabbing shirts, not even looking at the ball. Yeah. We might find that next season they clamp down on that.
But how do they do that? This is my
well, the VAR, because I feel for the officials. You are literally watching 3 or 4 fouls or incidences where, and mutual holding, right? I mean, so we saw Van Dijk with Moises Caicedo at the weekend, right? Yeah. There was a VAR check. Yeah. Van Dijk's coming. Van Dijk has got him round here. Yeah. And Moises has got him round the neck. You can't give a foul for that.
No, it's 50-50.
And I think that there's an element of that going on in the box, scrappling. It's now got to a stage where it looks like a scrum. It's not. That is not. And I think the only way to stop it is next season you come in with an iron fist and you pick out the first incident on VAR, but you've got to stick to it, Liv. So any holding where it's not mutual. So I've got a bit of Matisse and he's got a bit of me. You can't give a foul for that. And Arsenal are very good at making sure that it's not completely one-sided.
I mean, the VAR was the same ref that didn't give the Chelsea-Arsenal ones. You know, the punch on João Pedro's head, the Declan Rice round, João Pedro. Oh no, it was Hato, wasn't it? Hato shoulders the handball. It's just, I think all we're asking for is that we've seen that a million times this season, and they haven't been given. Yeah. So why? One of the final games of the season, one of the most defining moments in Premier League history in terms of will we looking back on that decision in years to come going, that was the decision that gave Arsenal the Premier League trophy. Why have they decided to give it now?
Yeah, it's going to be a problem in terms of, I think, the ideal situation is that the referee spots all of these shenanigans going on at the same time and he says, he's going to blow the whistle, have a word with everyone, and then get the corner retaken. Because you're right, there were so many instances going on, but where the ball's landed, it's landed where the keeper is, and then that's the area they're going to focus on, and it is a foul. It's the irony, like you said, because if it had been consistent all season, then
you'd go fine.
No problem. That's exactly how it should be, but it hasn't been. And there's been. I just think they need to stop the kind of grappling. I don't think you should be able to hold a player completely anyway. You're literally impeding them, stopping them from going for the ball.
Especially if you're not looking at the ball.
If you're not looking at the ball and you're not challenging for the ball and you're purely focused on the player and you've got... I've seen players, they're bear hugging them. That's a foul for me. That's a foul. And they need to get back to that because I don't know how we got to this point where corners, everybody can just be wrestling.
You can basically just do whatever you want.
It's basically WWE.
It's the Wild West. It's the Wild West in the box.
I don't know how we got to this point.
Jamie Redknapp called it the Super Bowl. Yeah. Start watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Where everyone's just got... So do you think the right decision was made?
I think it was the right decision, but I think they haven't been doing this all season. So that's why I didn't like the decision because of the lack of consistency. But it is the right decision because it is a foul. He's holding his hand down.
I saw a referee suggest that no attacking players should be allowed in the 6-yard box from the corner. But, genuinely, unless you're going to start giving a penalty every time someone has got two arms round a player or you're holding them back, it's never going to get solved. It's never going to get resolved.
That is just as bad as keeping the hand down, for me. Pushing the hand down so the keeper can't punch it is the same thing as holding someone so they can't jump. Yeah. So you're still impeding the player. Same thing for me.
Something will be done next season because it's become such a talking point. And there will always be a situation that's similar to that one, and one goes one way, one goes the other. That's just the way football works. You know, we should have had a penalty at the weekend. For me, that's a penalty. But you will see another incident, almost identical, slightly different, when the penalty is given.
Yeah. I think that's just the problem, isn't it? That's all you want is consistency.
I think it's impossible to have consistency over the whole season but what you do want is consistency in that same game. Yeah. Ideally.
Yeah.
But it was a foul, and then Arsenal going to win it.
Anyway, should we just quickly before we go? Obviously, we've spoken about it. Chelsea City, FA Cup final, a chance to get back into Europe, could potentially be in the Europa League. Do we win it on Saturday?
We've got a chance, Liv.
Yeah.
We have a chance. And up until quite recently, I think in the big games, I think we've been pretty competitive.
Yeah.
In all of in the big games. But our season, certainly after the PSG capitulation over in Paris, it feels as though that's waned a little bit. But we will be competitive. We won't get slapped. I'm convinced of that.
I hope not.
But listen, here's the thing. Don't concede an early goal, right? Because City are the sort of team that will can take the game away from very quickly.
Yeah.
Don't concede the early goal again. It's twice in 2 games. We've gone down 1-0 really early in the opening 2 minutes against Forest, 6 minutes against Liverpool. That can't carry on.
Sorry, Matisse, your face there. And Jason saying we're not going to get slapped was like, are we not
going
to get slapped? I'm not sure.
It's not out of the possibility. It's not out of the realms of possibility, unfortunately. But they're gonna give it their all. So I expect that they're gonna fully play to the occasion. They're going to give everything. They're not going to capitulate because they don't care. That's for sure. But like you said, the game can get taken away from you, and I fear that if we concede that early goal and we have to start going for it and chasing it, and we leave those gaps, the last thing you want to do is leave space with Haaland on the pitch. So we have to be compact. It's Cherky. You don't want to give him space. He can play some blinders in terms of passing. So we need to keep it compact. We need to stay. I think that 3 at the back is sensible. We've got to go with that.
Yes or no? Then are we going to win the FA Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
You're just as confident as me, Matisse.
Yeah, we can do it. We can do it.
We're not stupid. We know
God.
we go into it as underdogs.
Actually, we're better as underdogs, so is what I would say.
The 2 Champions League games. I'm
Yeah,
trying to leave it
yeah,
there,
yeah,
right? 2 finals.
That was the last time we beat City. Can we do it in another final? Hopefully. Right, that is it for another episode of Inside Chelsea, sponsored by BetMGM. Download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org. We'll be back next Monday to look back on the FA Cup final, hopefully a Chelsea win. Thank you very much for your company. Thank you to Jason, of course, and Matisse. We will see you next week. Up the Chelsea.
Up the Chelsea.